All right, everyone. So welcome to our U8 to U12 coaches meeting. Thanks for everybody that can make it and anyone watching this later. We're going to try to answer any questions that you have tonight. I see a lot of familiar faces. A lot of people have done this before, so it's probably going to be old hat for most of you guys. A little different from last year. Obviously, with the COVID restrictions last year, it made things a little interesting, but we had a good season and at least everyone got to play a little bit of soccer. And this year, we're kind of back to normal, I want to say. Knock on wood, cross our fingers. Let's hope it stays that way. But it looks like it's going to be back to 2019 soccer. So again, let's hope it stays that way. Again, thanks everybody that's volunteering this year. I know I say it every year and I say it too many times tonight, but it can't be overemphasized. Thanks so much. We literally can't do this without you guys. It's not possible. We're fully volunteer run and we can't have the teams without you guys. It's so much appreciated. We're still finishing off the rosters and the schedules. The schedules and rosters, I'm hoping, will be all out by Monday. There's one U15 team. That's only one U15 team, so that's not so hard for rosters. There's a couple we're just moving some people around to accommodate some necessary things, and we've had to actually take on a few more players from Ripley and Lucknow because they haven't been able to run teams the same way in some of the older divisions. But again, hopefully we got those out by Monday. I will send everybody an Excel sheet with your specific team on it. And it's also going to show up on the website. When I send you the Excel sheet with the email, just make sure that you do check the website and that everything I'm saying kind of, it all jives and it's all the same because mistakes do happen, unfortunately. The schedule is set to start, I believe, for everybody, definitely for U8 and U10. Immediately after the long weekend. So if your team's set, if you're set to play Tuesday nights, which would be U15, I believe, U10, U18, sorry, their first game will be that Tuesday night. And I might as well go over right now. So in case anyone didn't see, the nights of play are U8 is Thursday, U10 is Tuesday, U12 is Thursday, U15s are Wednesday, and U18s are Tuesday. If anyone has a question at any point, feel free just to butt in or throw their digital hand up and I'll try to keep an eye on it as we go along here so we don't miss any answers or questions. Okay. And as per usual, the U8s and U10s are going to be on the 3 Bruce Avenue fields, as long as everyone knows where they are. The U12s play on the dog park fields, we call them, the 2 fields right in front of the dog park there, across from the Timbits. And the U18 and U15s, they play over at the Davidson Center. For anybody that hasn't played over there yet, if maybe just moving into U15, they play on those fields over there. That's pretty straightforward for everybody. No questions there. Okay, perfect. Some game details just for some of our newer coaches. The U8s play 2 20-minute halves and are 7-on-7. The U10s are 2 25-minute halves and they're 7-on-7. The Lakeshore, which I'm actually personally not too familiar with. Michelle's actually here in my top right corner, maybe. Give a wave, Michelle, maybe. There you are. Okay, so she can answer most of the Lakeshore questions, hopefully, because she's sitting on their committee right now. But the U12s I have down is 2 35-minute halves, 9-on-9. U15, 2 40-minute halves, 9-on-9. And U18, 2 45-minute halves, 11-on-11. Okay, and again, as far as we know, that's how it's going to continue. I know Lakeshore is still getting some stuff organized on their part as well. We can move on if you want to equipment. I know a lot of people have questions about equipment. Our plan right now is to do equipment pickup the same night that you're playing your first game. So everybody at this point knows what do we call it? The building over by the ball diamond by the dog park over there. That we now have that has all of our equipment in it. And so we're going to be up there for the first week with all the gear and for all the games. You can just come over, pick up your bag and bring it over to your game. I don't know if Ryan is on the call. I don't think so. Mark, you've been you've been working with Ryan on the equipment this year. Do you have anything to say about the differences with our equipment this year compared to previous years?
Yeah, a couple things. One is from the balls perspective, we don't have a plethora of balls anymore. I think we'll be able to do a smaller number of balls. for each team, which should be fine. I mean, I don't think everyone needs, 15 balls chasing around the field anyways. And then the other kind of area on equipment is uniforms, right? So it's a little different this year. So for the 8s and 10s, is part of our campaign to kind of long-term reduce costs and kind of get out of this management of uniforms and massive leftovers every year. We're switched, so that could cause some confusion with some parents that maybe are used to, coming out of Timbits or before, but it's an orange and a gray shirt. And really that in effect, it becomes your home and away. So everyone will just, if you're home, you'll be orange. If you're away, you'll wear your gray shirt that day in the schedule. And then on the U12 and up, there's a specific numbered shirt that is needed for, Lakeshore rules, things like that. So all of that is available at Home Hardware. The numbered shirt is only available at Home Hardware. I guess we call it the official house league shirts. They're not required to get those, but they can, and then they don't have to wear, we used to do full kit, like black socks, all that stuff, wear what they have. And then the U12 and up do need the black socks, and the shorts, but there's so much out there in the community. We're hoping that, a lot can be leveraged and overall cost savings going forward. So I guess those would be the two things out there to deal with. And then I guess the last thing on U12 and up is last year with the COVID season, we did, we gave away as much extras as we could. So there's a bunch of orange shirts out there. So kids might have an extra and they're welcome to keep wearing those. They should look almost identical to, we stayed with the same vendor. So I think it should be good there too. So those are the two big changes, unless Michelle, I'm missing anything. Yep. So we'll get coaches' bags put together with, it'd be a lot easier to do now, a lot quicker. And if you need anything, sooner than later, maybe you want to get out on the fields with your kids, or just reach out to me or Ryan Gunnels, or you can just email through the, the info at Kincardine Minor Soccer at gmail.com, email them, and we'll get that and can arrange something. We'll be putting them all together this weekend, so they should be ready to go beginning of the week. But otherwise, we'll plan to do it like Matt said, from the concession stand. We'll just load them all in there. Then each night, everyone can come grab their bag. That way, it won't be a separate trip for you guys.
Perfect. And you can always use my email as well. I've got everyone's email address. I can forward it along for the equipment or for any other, referees or anything you need to get. You all have my email now because I've probably pestered you God knows how many times in the last few weeks. So just feel free to use me as that loop through to get to the equipment guys if you need to. Mark, I actually have the website down as my next item. I don't know if you want to just keep going with that and kind of explain how basics of where they can find things on the website and maybe the app as well.
Yep. So there's, I don't think I can fully show the app, but I can talk about it. So we basically have two, let's call it web properties this year. We started last year. So this is our second year with this new website. So I'll walk through that in a second. And then we do have our Facebook page that Michelle and I manage. So Michelle's been putting out all these awesome informational things, which seem to have cut down a lot of parent questions, which is great. It's the intent. So we will use both vehicles as kind of ways to communicate. We try and mirror, especially when you get things like a lot of people, follow Facebook page on their phone. It's easier to get to sometimes for announcements. And then secondary is, this is really our core place for information, always to go back to. We have, obviously some dates up here, some links to our stuff. And then we'll do some news articles like, hey, the house league shirts are in stock, things like that. But over here on the left side in the main menu, really, we have a specific link at the top level just to go to the fields, which they'll be open here shortly. Talks about the weather policy. Usually, I think everything goes until it's lightning, and then everyone needs to go. But if it's raining, I know parents are always like, "Oh, we're going to cancel," but it's up to you to coach discretion. I think on the U12, the Lakeshore stuff, you have to coordinate with the other coach. before you call it, but U8 and U10, you know, it's in Kincardine, so you guys can manage that. So there's that. There's also this page. So I would direct, you know, Michelle and I have tried to, especially with home hardware, answer almost every question we can think of around the uniforms. So we put together this, you know, diagram, you know, it's by birth year, what group am I in, what do I need, and all that stuff. So that's there. And then the other kind of important page is the season info page, which reflects what Matt just went through. You know, when are you playing, you know, what birth years again, where do they play nights, with the U8s and the U10s, because we have so many kids this year. We actually have to have a second session. So it looks like the mixed will be early and the girls will be the second session. And then just give you an idea who they play. So this was as of April 12th. We might need to update some of those teams. I think, Michelle, you hopefully have the latest, I don't know, but that'll give you an idea of where and who we're playing. And then if parents have basic questions, you know, there's things in here around, you know, soccer programs. If you get parents or somebody comes to you and says, oh, I still want to sign up. We don't really have the concept of late fees this year. It's more about wait list that gives us a chance to find a spot in a roster. And then we've put together some materials for coaches here, just generic points too, and Matt will talk about that and things like that. So the only other thing I wanted to bring up was the app. So for those of you with us last year, this actually worked out fairly nice. I know I used it myself, was the Sports Engine app, and you can download it. It's App Store or Android. And once I load the roster, so there's be a section here called Teams. This isn't visible to you guys, but you know, I'll start building out these teams. Once I tie you and your roster together in Ontario Soccer, and we push it all through, you guys should have seen that, hey, I'm a member of Ontario Soccer now, email, I think. But basically, then your whole roster will show up in the app, and you can actually ping everyone every week and say, hey, are you coming or not? You know, so it's kind of a nice way. They have a chat function in there. It'll show your schedule, you know, all things like that. So you can all manage that from the app. I found it pretty effective and convenient last year, so you might want to try it out, especially that, hey, are you coming app question. It was always good for, you know, do I have enough players to, before everyone shows up at the field. People were pretty good with that one if the parents download it. So I would suggest and recommend that, you know, when you talk to your parents, download the app. It's a quick and easy way to communicate, so they don't have to dig through the website. But the website will also have the teams, and like Matt said, he'll send you the spreadsheet. And I will always caveat that with, we always get last minute ads, or, you know, somebody needs to change teams last second. So, you know, we'll always make sure we communicate to you as the coach if that happens. But for the most part, we hope they'll be locked in for Monday, and we won't have very many changes. But you'll see that it'll show up in the app, and then, you know, Matt will email you and say, hey, we're adding a player to your team or moving a player.
I have a question.
Yep.
So our son's in U8.
Mm-hmm.
I get like mixed, I guess, but is there like, how do we know what we're coaching in that, in amongst that, or like, or assisting or whatever we're doing? I'm not sure what we're doing.
Yeah, so we'll on Monday, and Matt can get into a little bit further, but yeah, so once we get through the weekend of creating all these rosters and putting all the players, we have over 770 players into all the teams. You'll get a notification by Matt saying, here's your team. That's a sign that you'll be dealing with. So you'll be like U8 team 3, right? Something like that. So you'll know that, and then it'll show up in the app, because you'll be assigned as the head coach, and you'll see all the players as well.
Okay. And so we will be head coaches of somebody's soccer team?
So what, it just says Reed's iPad. What's the name? Sorry.
Oh, Nick and Nicole.
Oh, Nick and Nicole, right.
Yeah.
You are, I think you two are with somebody else. So we may we'll assign either you guys, one of you two, or the other person as the head coach. But it's going to be, there's going to be a few teams that are going to be a team effort, where we don't have necessarily a traditional head coach, that someone didn't necessarily step up as the head coach.
Okay.
We just had to put basically some groups together, make sure we run the teams. But
just once we assign you as a coach in the system, you'll see it as a roster. Yeah. You know, whether you're head coach or assistant coach, I don't think it matters, but you'll see And as a parent, you would, if your child was on the team,
Right.
you'd see your team members too.
Okay, I'm just asking because I told Matt, like, I don't know anything about soccer. I volunteered because you guys need volunteers, so I apologize in advance.
That's more the norm than you'd think it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, just we need kid wranglers. That's our
Right.
main thing, is we need kid wranglers, and hopefully I'll give you some drills and stuff we can go through. And usually when that's the case, when people tell me that, I normally try, I don't have my list up here right now, but I normally try to hook them up with another assistant that has maybe a little more soccer knowledge, hopefully.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
The other question is, because our son's in the under-8 that would play at like 6.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility that we would be with the girls at some point, like in
No,
the
they're
evening?
separate. They're separate divisions. They're separate leagues.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So the U8 mix will always play at 6, and U8 girls will always play at 7:15.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. They never
Thank
cross
you.
over.
Okay.
For sure. Mark, were you all done there with that?
Yeah, you're good to move on. Unless
Perfect.
there's any questions about the site. It's pretty self.
Was there any more questions about the website? I don't think I see any hands. It's a great reference for everything. Just a few years ago, we would just kind of like say, you might be able to find the information on the website. I promise you, whatever information you're looking for is on the website at this point. Even everything I'm going over tonight, it's all on there. Sometimes maybe you don't know exactly how to navigate it. Feel free to reach out and we'll give you the direct information, but your first place to go should always be that website because it's very comprehensive. Mark did touch on it a little bit when he was going through for bad weather and cancellations. So the general rule is that we play rain or shine. Lightning obviously changes that. I believe this is for Lakeshore as well, but definitely for U8 and U10, it's between the coaches and the referee on location if it gets to that point. And that's for obviously, rain, nasty weather of any kind, heat as well, like extreme heat. We've had it before where there's like really extreme heat or just really, really nasty thunderstorms where the executive will actually make the decision during the day. And when that happens, we will notify you guys immediately, usually up to an hour before the game time. And then if that doesn't happen, the best thing to do is go to the field and coordinate with the other coach and the referee, and you can decide what's going on there. But again, if it's really bad, we'll usually cancel it beforehand and just hope there's not too many. Michelle, is that pretty bang on as far as the Lakeshore policy goes?
Yeah, the Lakeshore, the expectation is that all the teams will go to the game and the referee will decide if the game's going to go or not, unless the executive has provided other direction to the coaches.
Perfect. Good. So same thing. And just, I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning, for anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, Lakeshore, that's U12 and above, and anything that's house league is U8 and U10. Another one that Mark kind of touched on the website there, he scrolled past, was the online training. So we've been trying to figure out the last couple of weeks what is mandatory for training for our coaches. And as it turns out, with the type of league we are, Mark, you can correct me if I read that email wrong today. It doesn't seem like anything's technically mandatory for online training, but we encourage coaches to take online training and to better their knowledge any way they can. It was on that website page that Mark had brought up earlier. I'm going to send the links out specifically for the Respect in Sport, and there's, I think, Making Headway is another one. There's a couple on there that are mostly just online that are really good. You can see the list there as to the ones that are recommended. I know a lot of people have Respect in Sport from not just soccer, but from coaching hockey or baseball or other things. It's something that can actually go between different sports. Any training, official training that you take through us in OSA, we will reimburse you for it. Because with a lot of the online stuff, there's usually a $20 or $30 bill that comes with it, and you just send it to us and we just pay you back for it.
Yeah, and I would just add in on the training stuff for Matt here is what these active startup fundamentals, I just actually took them to experience them. They're really nice. They're short. They're like 30, 45 minutes, but they'll help you understand kind of what the kids are at that age group, what to expect and what things, you to do. Like if you're in, under 6, they're starting to figure out not to, run into each other and things like that. But if, they're in, U10, they can start to take direction and things like that. And then The Making Headway, I do recommend. It's a short one as well. It just teaches you how to better recognize any concussion scenarios. So if kids run into each other or, head balls, things like that, it's a nice short course just to refresh your memory.
Yeah, perfect. And again, we'll definitely pay you back for any. There's a couple that you don't even cost money. The links are literally right on the page there. Like if Mark was to scroll down, you can see all the links right there. You just click on the orange and it'll take you right to them. Coach training on the right. I guess you got to go to coach training on the right, and that's where all the links are, and it'll take you right to it. And again, encourage you to do it, but it's not necessarily mandatory. But like Mark said, it definitely, they can be definitely useful. I had a couple coaches take a couple of the courses last year, and they were pretty complimentary about them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next, I guess one more point is, the one that always comes up is just dealing with parents. And the first thing, the first attitude we always say is try and be patient with everybody, as patient as possible. And you always have to remember that every parent that's out there right now that's going to have, I promise you, has been asked by me to try and coach this year. And they've all said no. So if they're going to gripe and if they were going to have some issues, they had their opportunity to come coach and they've decided not to step up. And you should always keep that in mind or even mention it. We have lots of volunteer opportunities for anybody that has an issue with how we're doing things. That goes for the executive as well. If anyone's not liking how it's being run, everything we do is volunteer. And you guys all stepped up. And anybody that doesn't like how things are being run, they've also had that same opportunity to step up and they haven't done it yet. If there's anything that's actually more aggressive than that, that's an actual problem with a parent, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or really anyone on the executive and alert us right away. We like to, even if it's not something major, but just a little seed that you think you've seen, let us know, because we want to know that stuff so we can track it and watch it and make sure nothing gets blown further than it needs to go. And that also goes for player interactions and players. If you have any troubles with specific players or teammates not interacting well, especially early in the season, make sure you let us know. It's definitely not uncommon for us to switch players with different teams if we need to, because of parent interaction, player interaction, anything like that. Any questions as far as that goes? No? Okay, so we have one other thing is practices. So let me just get to my sheet here. So I'm going to send out an email, hopefully Monday, that'll include rosters and also a notification about signing up for practices. Basically, you're going to practice on the fields that you play on, essentially. And so let me see if I can figure it out here. So U12 can basically practice any day but Fridays on the dog park fields. U15 can practice any day but Tuesday or Wednesday. U18 practice any day but Tuesday or Wednesday. And I'll send you a whole list like that for every division. And basically what you do is you pick a 1 hour time slot, and that will be your time slot for the whole week, or for the whole year, pardon me. And so if you choose Monday at 6 o'clock as your regular practice time, then that's what you'll do. You'll practice every Monday at 6 o'clock, and then you'll play whatever night you would normally play at. Okay. And I'm open, it's kind of first come, first serve. We don't usually run into too many conflicts as far as practice go, but if you know that you're only available one certain night or something with a time, feel free to email me after the meeting, or sometime this weekend, even before I send out that note, and say, hey, can I get Monday at 6 o'clock as a practice time? So that we make sure that we can start penciling everybody in.
Yeah, and the only exception to that might be in some of these groups like the U12, where we have more teams and fields and slots. It either, might have to pick like one of the U10 fields or something like that, just so if you want a full field, or you can go half field, whatever. But just be aware, we've got a big bulb of kids in the middle ages. It's caused a lot of teams.
So are U8 and U10 practicing before their games then?
You can practice before or after. Again, we leave it up to, one of the advantages of the coach is you get to decide what time slot you pick for your practices.
But Adam, it's not like last year. We just had a quick half-hour warm-up. If that's all you want to do, hey, go for it. But some of the Lakeshore teams will need, kind of a full hour and their own space to do that type of thing.
Okay.
Right. Sorry, Adam. I totally misunderstood that. Yeah, right. Because last year we did it where it was an hour before, right? And then we just went right into the game. That's not our intention to do it like that this year. But if that works best for you, and we can make it work with the field, we could do that as well. But the intention is to have separate practices and separate games like we used to.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions as far as practice? Actually, I don't have much else here on my list. So is there any overall questions? Anything that I haven't answered, which is very possible? Take a second to think, and if anyone has any questions.
I just have a quick question. Are any police checks required? I just noticed that on the website.
No, so we thought they were going to be, and without getting into the nitty gritty, the OPPs informed us they aren't necessary. We couldn't actually even get them if we wanted them for for what we're doing. And it's mostly to do with one-on-one lack of one-on-one time with the kids, and being a team environment, I guess. There's more reasons than that, but no, we put that on there thinking that was needed for insurance purposes, but it doesn't look like that's needed for this year.
All right.
Yeah, good question.
Mark, just to touch on the uniform thing again. So U10s are home are an orange jersey and away is a gray jersey, and then they can be purchased at Home Depot or at Home Hardware. Sorry.
Yeah, we created an official one. We worked with, Home Hardware and Presto Crest to, kind of help local business. So that's what those are. But if you have an orange jersey from whatever else or gray, kids are free to wear those. They don't have to wear kind of the official one. It's our first year to move away from doing all these uniforms. So, that we thought that would be a good approach, because then again, the explanation is kids can hand it down, right? So if they got other siblings coming up, or they can sell them on Stop and Sell, whatever they need to do type of thing from year to year. So it gives them more flexibility, and it gives us some flexibility that, we can move kids around, like Matt was saying, if we need to even teams out or things like that.
Okay, we just went over that quick. I just wanted to make sure for when we talk to the parents.
Yep. And I would refer them to the website, in the uniform tab, just because I think we've come up with every question. And I would also say I think Michelle and I would both agree that we are open to trying to help you guys solve any informational gaps that we can. So if something doesn't make sense or would be helpful to be on the website, just let us know, and we'll go help that, or we'll do a communication, whatever we need to do, we'll support you guys.
I had a quick question. Last year, we ended up having to often ref our own games because there wasn't always refs, at least in the U8 division. Is that going to happen this year?
Likely.
Yeah, in certain divisions, I believe so. I don't believe our ref coordinator is on the call. Yeah, Mark, unless you've heard differently. Last I heard, I think we were still a little bit short for some divisions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a problem across Ontario soccer anyways, and for even Lakeshore. So I think the referees are going to be more oriented toward Lakeshore. But in the past few weeks, we've had a couple of people come forward with interest, a couple of young kids, and I think an older guy that's moved into the community that, has ref for years. So it'll kind of be a wait and see, like last year, Stuart would come and do a couple games, and Eve Snowblin, I think, would come in. So we're going to try. But the expectation is, you'll have a whistle, and you might just have to be out on the field and coaching your team and, helping them through it. I'm sure it won't be crazy, trying to call penalties and things, but
and so with that, could you just quickly review? I just wanted to clarify the time of the games. Sorry, like the length of the games.
Vanya, what division are you doing again? You're doing U8?
I'm Timbits and U8, U6 and U8, yeah.
U8 is 20-minute halves, U10 is 25-minute halves. And those are both 7-on-7. But really, for that division, if you guys are short players or something, you could always do 6-on-6, or, that's not necessarily set in stone. But yeah, U8 is 20 minutes. And I will try to remember to include that in the email that I send out, because that's a good point. We did do that a lot last year, didn't we? Where we had to ref the games we're coaching, or have a parent referee. So that way, that information should be out there for you guys. I'll make sure to try and include that.
And I'll add it to that, the season info page that kind of has that big chart. I'll add game length and player count.
And I just a thought when you were talking about communication wise, since as a coach, we did have to come into referee. I don't know if you could have just a page reference for coaches on what rules you're wanting to specifically enforce at each level, to like what degree. I forget who was refereeing last time, and he's like, oh, for U8, we don't worry about that. And we just kept going. So I don't know if that would be helpful, especially for some of the coaches that don't have as much soccer experience. If just like some like bullet points of like main things wanting to be reinforced at each level. So there's some consistency there, but.
It's a great idea. Yeah, we'll work together and put that as the board, and we'll come up with a page for that, an area, and we'll share it with you guys. Great idea.
Yeah, that's great. Before I ask if there's any more questions, I should mention, I just noticed a note that I missed. Just so everyone knows, for U8 and U10, our year-end tournament is going to be August the 6th. It's going to be, just a fun tournament. Unlike years past, we're not going to do the full-blown barbecue and everything like that. Like the Timbits will get their medals, which doesn't, have anything to do with anybody here. But we'll play 3 games that day for each team, hopefully. And then that'll kind of mark the end of the season. For Lakeshore, Michelle, I don't know if they've come up with all the dates yet for the tournaments or not for the U12s, U15s, and U18s.
They are. I put them on the list.
They have?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're up there. Mhm.
Okay, so those are on the website then for them, or you have them now?
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
adding
them right here. If you just want to mark it down in your calendars. So U12 girls is August 27th in Kincardine. U12 boys, August 27th in Hanover. U15 boys is August 20th and 21st in Owen Sound. U15 girls is August 20th, 21st in Markdale. We actually don't have a U18 boys team this year. And then U18 girls is August 13th and 14th in Walkerton. So that is on the website, but.
Perfect. No, that's good information for everybody to have. So, and so I believe the Lakeshore regular season ends the same time though, as the House League, the first week of August. I believe this is the last regular season game, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Maybe I'm wrong on Lakeshore.
I think
It'll be around there, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We'll get them up here. I'm missing a couple that you went through, Michelle, but I'll get them added.
All right. Do we have any other questions for those people that are on the call here about anything to do with anything that we might have missed or not thought of mentioning?
Maybe I missed it. Is there a schedule for the U18 already for the?
No, now Lakeshore, unfortunately, I have nothing to do with the Lakeshore schedule. So I saw something come across. They were in maybe an approval stage of it. So I know they're close. Michelle, I don't know if you know the status
It will
of
be
that.
on the website, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
it should be. The schedules for U15 and U18 are almost done. There was just a couple minor changes that had to be made. So I imagine those will be ready early next week. The goal was to have them all ready today, but there's been a few changes in the leagues with teams dropping out or being added. So I
You know how many
imagine
teams are there?
I do know, yeah. You said U18 girls.
18 girls, yeah.
So there's a team in Markdale, Owen Sound, Walkerton, and West Grey, and Kincardine.
So 5 total.
Okay. Yeah.
5 total. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that with Lakeshore this year. With we're actually numbers wise, we're actually seem to be way ahead of a lot of other towns. Participation's down a little bit outside of Kincardine, and I think it might actually be up a little bit in Kincardine. So we're lucky in that regard. Okay, any other questions from anybody?
I think Val might have a question. She's got her hands up.
Oh yeah, sorry, I should have seen that. Sorry, Val, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify the practice time. Is there a minimum practice time for under 8, or like was what ages were there supposed to be extra practices?
So for everyone on this call for U8 and above, what we normally do is we do the regular game every week, and then you normally have a separate 1-hour practice. But last year what we did was we had the practice right before the game. If that works better with your schedule, that's something that we could look at as well. The practice usually go 45 minutes to an hour. But they're usually consistent. You, like I said earlier, you usually pick a time slot, and then that's kind of your time slot throughout the year, unless something changes schedule-wise for yourself.
Okay, that's including under 8.
Yep. Everybody above Timbits.
All right,
It seemed last year, like I coached U8 last year, and I think it was just a half an hour. And the kids would go out, they're 7-year-old kids, warm up, do some drills, work on a few things, and then head right into the game. And it seemed pretty cut and dry, especially for that age group. So if I was coaching U8, I would probably go back to that, because it's just one night, you're in, and it's an hour and a half, and you're done.
And that is totally fine with us. Like if that's what works for you, and we just want everybody to have the options this year. But if that's going to work best for you, I'm pretty sure the fields are always open for that. For U8 mixed, U8 girls would not necessarily. They might have to use another field basically, but we could probably work on that too if that was something that you're interested in.
okay, that was my next question. Would there be enough space?
Probably not in those two divisions. We have a lot of U8 and U10s, and we only have the 3 fields available for them to play on.
So every team couldn't necessarily schedule a practice before.
Well, you could if you you take half the field basically.
Okay.
So if you're like, I'm just saying that because that there's actual games going on between 6 and 15 and 7:15, so that the U8 girls couldn't practice right before on those fields, because there's actual other U8 games going on at that time. But the U8, if you're on a U8, I don't remember what team you're coaching, but if it's a U8 mixed team, then you could absolutely practice, 5:30.
Yeah, I only have boys, so it would be mixed.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So you could, you could definitely practice. You could, 5:15 or 5:30.
Okay.
Again, as long as it's on our list of, you just let me know that's when you want to practice, and that's when you practice.
All right, so that's how we confirm that, is just email you.
Yes. Yeah. And again, I'll send the email out Monday in case you forget, and then you can just reply, because it'll be one of my questions in the email.
Okay. My apologies if that was tedious.
No, that's the type of questions we want. Sometimes we've been doing it for a little bit too long, and we forget, the questions for the newer coaches that might seem obvious to us at this point, but they're really not. And that goes for anybody else, like U8. I don't know if that was Adam that spoke up. Somebody made the point there, like maybe an hour is too long for those U8 kids. If you find that, there's no problem at all with doing a half-hour practice, even if it's not right before the game. If you want to do a half-hour or 40-minute practice on a separate night, that's fine. We just booked the field for that hour time slot. That's all. That makes sense. All right. Do we have anybody else or any more hands up I didn't see here?
I was going to ask one more quick question.
Yep. No,
Sorry,
go. No, by all means.
Last year I ended up having some kids on my team with potentially some behavioral, higher behavioral needs.
Yep.
And I didn't know that. There was no notification of that. And it caused some frustration initially, and it probably would have been helpful had I known that in advance. So I was just wondering if there's any way to know that information in advance, if there were those needs.
It's tough to get it's tough to get them. They should be coming forward on their own. And we do have some parents that come forward. It's hard to put that to people unless we know from past experiences. But that's also a good reminder, is like, you might not notice it early in the season, but if you happen to notice it early in the season, give us the heads up right away and see if we can do something. A lot of the time suggesting is to really just have the parent of those specific children. They should probably be on the sidelines in some capacity as well. Is usually the answer for that. Yeah. But so if anybody finds that early in the season, an issue like that or similar to that, please let us know right away and put it right on our radar, and we'll see what we can do. So it kind of takes maybe the awkwardness of yourselves out of it, and we can kind of deal with it.
Yeah. And additionally, I would say to that, your best bet, and one of the things we communicate to parents, you guys are all parents of kids, is coaches will get in touch with you at the beginning of the season. So you might want to come up with like a few things that you might want to ask or share with the parents, like, hey, if one kid is a certain level or whatnot, but that's one thing, as a coach, we do ask that you kind of help us with that and, kind of see if you can get that out of the parents, or at least they get on the same page.
Definitely. I know a few coaches actually that have children that have a little more needs. They've actually stepped up to help coach because they know that their kids are going to be a bit of an issue, and that they can be there to help. Something did jog my memory here that I meant to talk about, is when we do give you the rosters and all the contact information, I know we're all crazy busy, but try to reach out to the parents as soon as possible. Inevitably, every year we send everything out, and then people start getting contacted. And of course, everybody in the community talks, and some parents are wondering why they haven't been contacted and others have. And it's always easier if you can just, as soon as you get your rosters with your parents' email, just send a bulk email to them to say, hey, I'm the coach. Our first game is going to be Tuesday, May 24th or whatever. And here's our practice time, or you know, just something introductory so that they know a little bit of what's going on.
Yeah, and we'll reinforce that with an email from the Kincardine soccer email, basically to all the registered saying, hey, we've pushed teams out. You can find them on the website, or if you download the app, you can see your specific team and things like that. So we'll try and reinforce that. But yeah, they definitely want to hear from you guys too.
Yeah, I think I see, is that Kevin that has a hand up there?
Yeah. Hey, Matt, a few questions. So
Sure.
specific to U15 girls, and only because it's been a while for me.
Yeah.
11 on 11 for U15?
999, I believe. Michelle, am I right with that?
Okay.
I'm gonna double check that real quick, because the U15 we had a lot of discussion about at Lakeshore, because we had forgotten also, because it's been a few years. So let me just confirm that, and I will put a note.
Definitely wasn't a silly question then, I guess.
No. No.
And number of U15 girls teams in Kincardine, I'm presuming just one.
U15, yeah. For the girls, it's just one. We have 2 boys, or 2 mixed, and 1 girls.
Okay.
And Kevin, I do have 2. I don't know if I've sent you an email since our original discussion, but there are 2 other coaches with you now.
Ah, fantastic. That's the best news you've said all night. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're one of the groups have assistants with you, so you're good.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I will say on the U15, U18, we do have 2 players that haven't paid yet. So we might have a last minute shuffle where we have to move a girl to U18 to make sure they have enough. So just, that's why we're kind of haven't released the rosters yet. We just have to make sure we've got an even balance there and that we don't have a team short.
Okay, fair enough. And game length, and then I guess the number of teams in the loop whenever it's available. Okay, 11 on 11, thanks.
Oh, it is 11 on 11 for okay, that's good to know. I'll adjust my thing too. So game length for U15, I believe, is 2 40-minute halves. Michelle, is that right? Or is that another point?
All right, I've got too many tabs open right now. It's either 40 or 45. I'm just confirming, but I will let you know that, Matt, when you send out the coaches. It's my first year on Lakeshore, so I'm still getting my feet wet with all of it. But it is definitely 40 or 45. And I can tell you the teams, there's actually quite a few. So Chatsworth, Chesley, Hanover, Markdale. You said girls, right?
Girls, yeah.
Yep. Owen Sound, Saugeen Shores has 2, Tara and Walkerton.
Oh, okay.
That's a pretty good size.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good league.
Okay, and full size pitch then, I guess, too, 11 on 11.
Full size,
yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kevin. All right. Anybody else with questions? I don't think I see any more hands up. If you think of something later, guys, don't hesitate to send me an email. You know, and I can answer that. And again, hopefully the email I send on Monday, that's going to have a whole whack load of information individualized for each of you. Hopefully that answers any nagging questions. But again, just when it does, everything comes out on Monday or Tuesday or Sunday, whenever it comes out, just double check everything. And if you see any inconsistencies or something doesn't look right between the rosters I've given you and the website or the schedule, flag it to us right away, because you know mistakes really do happen. So it's easier to fix them if we know right away and someone picks it up.
Yeah, and just so you get a feel for the roster size of what I think they're going to be. So for like the 15 and the 18, you know, it'll probably be like 14 kids, maybe 15 in that range. And then just based on numbers. And then in the 12s, you'll probably see, you know, 1 or 2 less than that. And then obviously in the 8s and the 10s, they'll probably be average, you know, that 10 range, just because you have the player differentiation and we don't want to have a ton of kids sitting on the sidelines all the time.
And the one thing I'll just add to, for the Lakeshore League, they actually have their own website and they come out with a coach's manual. So we will send you the link for the coaches manual, which will outline all the rules, all the number of kids, the time, the games, all the league coordinators. So if you have to contact a coach from Terra, for example, it'll have their conveners contact information as well. So that will be available before the league starts. They just wait until the schedule is finalized to get that printed and ready to go.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming tonight, guys. Much appreciated. Again, thank you so much for everything you're doing to make sure the kids get out there and have some fun. All right. We'll hopefully be talking next week. All right. Bye, everybody.